Episode 93, Dr. Billy Garvey. This is our third part on big feelings. What are people going to learn in this episode?
Yeah, so we went deep into like really physical aggression and violence and acting out some really heartfelt situations that parents are in. Flew through some shorts and still made it long. And yeah, there's some beautiful tips from people, some amazing reflections, and hopefully some good scripts and points to kind of help.
Billy, you made the argument that in fact the questions are arguably better than the answers in this episode. Some of the questions are incredible. So, well, I think
all the reflection episodes, the questions are more powerful, but yeah,
they're
hopefully.
amazing.
Yeah.
They're amazing. But you do give really good answers. There's a couple of things in there just for big emotions around drop-off and transition in school, which I'm going to go back and listen to. I think it's around the hour 30 mark. I took a time stamp. Sorry, I did. It's brilliant. I'm not saying jump to it, but I'm saying it's a really good little script to run with your kid at drop-off. Anyway, I'm rambling. Guys, enjoy the episode. We'll be back with a new episode and a new film coming up. There's a little Easter egg at the end by Billy, so you might want to guess or listen to the end and guess which movie it's going to be. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Billy, a developmental paediatrician.
And I'm Nick, a developing parent.
We're going to use scenes from iconic movies to talk about how we best support our kids.
This is Pop Culture Parenting.
Hey, don't let your mother smell that beer on your breath. She'll take it out on me.
I don't want to see you again for the rest of my whole life. And I don't want to see anybody else either.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Just use your best judgment. We trust you.
Good morning, Dr. Billy Garvey. How are you?
Good, Nick. How are you going?
I'm good. Weather's heating up. I'm stoked about that. It's making me feel really good and positive about everything. We're looking at 18 degrees today, so I'm thrilled about that.
Yeah. It's funny. A lot of people I've been talking to are like starting to perk up a bit because bit of warmth, bit of sun.
Yeah, it's been a bloody wet winter where we are, and cold. And I think it gets colder with age. Seriously.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm still pretty young, but I've heard that happens. So, but mate, I feel like I've had a real roller coaster since the last episode.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I've got about a year's worth of Griswolds.
Oh really?
from one weekend. We'll see if it comes up or if I'll bank it for the next part one. But beautiful. I saw you twice on the weekend.
I know. We were hanging out a lot. There's a lot in 24 hours as well.
Yeah, I reckon I parent more in certain environments with you than Annalise because...
What do you mean?
Like the pool, I go there more with you than I do with Annalise. The playgrounds, I go there more with you. That Annalise just works so much.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just amazing, mate. We had someone come up to us at the pool.
We did.
And if they'd come a couple of minutes earlier, they would have seen my daughter sitting on your lap and your two daughters sitting either side of you and me holding Charlie.
I think they addressed me as Dr. Nick.
They did. Yes.
I said, I'm not a doctor, but I've got to stop telling everyone I'm a doctor.
Right, when the plane's going down, they'll see Dr. Nick. Speaking of planes, how lovely is this?
All right, here we go.
I told you this actually.
Go.
People have been sending in messages, amazing messages, 99.9% of them. And someone sent in messaged about me mentioning something about airport lounges. And they run a company and they're like, I'll flick you a free airport lounge thing all over the world. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. I, honest to God, said, look, I've never got to the airport early enough to actually do anything because I'm running flat out.
You're thinking about this all wrong though. How about we just go out to the airport on a Saturday arvo for 4 hours and hang out in the bloody lounge? You're not getting it right, mate.
See, 4 hours, I could see us there for 2 days.
We don't have to go.
This flight keeps getting delayed.
We don't have to fly anywhere. Let's just go out there and hang.
Well, I think he's only offering one, but we either do the trench coat, one of us on the shoulders, or we just pretend go to the toilet and then we're just wearing the same clothes and one of us sneaks back in.
Exactly. It would work, right, on that front. But I've been to an airport lounge twice before and my God, that is really living. It's amazing. Everything's complimentary.
Yeah.
Well, the tickets pay, you've obviously got to pay for this pass, which, but it's,
See, I've never been in and it's quite funny because I'll do media stuff and they'll be like, I'm getting a flight as well, someone in the media, and they're like, I might catch you in the lounge. And I'm just like, yeah. And I'm like, no, you'll catch me like leaning, responding to emails against the wall somewhere.
with your crappy phone charger wire
And the
at
phone
43
charger.
degrees, so just sort of charges occasionally, like my phone.
And I often laugh, and no one, we talk about how nice it is when people come up, but I often think, God, if people will come up to me at certain times, they'll just be like, what on earth is he doing, like lying on the ground to have access to a
Mate,
PowerPoint?
you should see me in a playground. I'm on my best behaviour.
Yeah, really?
I try to be really good. They catch me walking to the park. They'd be like, God.
Mate, I remember early days when not a single soul in the world knew who we were. We could see the numbers that were listening. You were still amazing on the playground. But so I looked up. This is honest to God, like I said no. But just how lovely this person is. They run a company called G Adventures, and it's this travel company. I think it's based in Canada. That is this social enterprise that does all this amazing stuff.
Oh.
So I was just like, what a champion. And they do all this amazing stuff in the world off the back of being a travel company.
If they want to fly me to Winnipeg or Ontario, I'm just making up names in Canada right now. I'm down. Even if it's for a 10-minute meeting, just whip me up there and back. See you there, gang.
Oh, mate, you'd hate the plane.
Me?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, just the girls would get sick of being stuck in the seat.
I'm taking the family. Flying solo.
But speaking of companies, there's a few quick updates. I'll be very quick, I promise.
Yep, good.
Apologies for there's so much stuff coming in now. Just to say it again, the only questions we can answer about kids are the ones that are on topic. We just can't get back to anything. I'm trying to get some admin on board. The board of Guiding Growing Minds, who will give their time for free, are trying to find a financial way. I've just hit debt limit, but we're going to look at some ways, and maybe a lot of people are talking about merch, like thinking about ways we can bring in some revenue that won't be ads, because we never want to do that. We're also going to do a live show, we think, which is amazing, because I've finally got you there in that, and we hopefully be heaps of fun. But we're potentially looking for a sponsor for it, so something that's kind of similar values to us. If you're out there and you're interested and you're in Melbourne, we're looking for sponsorship, because we don't want to make a profit off it. We just, I'm just at that limit financially of the social enterprise. And another shout out, I think I've finally convinced you that we can aim for getting on Rogan. So if anyone's got any road to Rogan.
Yes, that would be nice.
Well, mate, I'd need you there, because you talk about BJJ and all that stuff, and I'd just slide some
Austin,
gentle, sensitive,
again,
responsive parenting
happy to go to Austin.
into you guys talking about rolling and choking each other.
I would love to go. We could go do a podcast tour of America. That'd be lots of fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be amazing. And same final update about this stuff, the book. We are yet to get the right pathway for it overseas, but we potentially might sell it through the social enterprise so people overseas can get it.
Great.
So, amazing stuff coming out. Now, final thing before we launch into it.
Right.
Everyone seemed to really, really, really like the last episodes. A couple of criticisms that came in. One of them that came really gently and kindly was about the artwork.
What?
So,
previous ep was not well received. The artwork from one of your dearest.
yeah, who you know as well is a beautiful man, Breno. But he was like, mate, that last Photoshop. And so he said, he picked the photo and said, send me a photo of you and Nick looking like this. And at 1 a.m. in the morning, he said, here it is. And I think he'd spent hours on it. So if anyone wants to go check out the highest quality Photoshop that's ever been done for pop culture parenting, and thank you, Breno.
It's amazing. It's Morpheus's reflective glasses. It will stand out, the artwork, because it is
The
exceptional.
annoying thing is, when I sent it to you, you immediately knew I hadn't done it. You said, who's done that?
Who's done that? No, it wasn't.
I was like, oh, that hurts.
I was like, oh, he's got AV1 in there. Good. This is good.
So anyway, I digress, but I'm going to be punchy, because at 11 p.m. last night, I said to you, a bit earlier, I said to you, do you reckon I need to spread it over 2 or 1? And you said, mate, 2 months is a long time spent on a topic.
On a single topic.
So I've tried to jam all the absolute gold. There's one that's come in 2 minutes before I turn my laptop off.
Yep.
So you're going to be really strict with me and be punchy. I think that the best thing about this part 2 or part 3, this one, is hearing people's stories. So I'm going to try not to soapbox too much.
No, please go for it. All right, Billy, we're going to start with 3 pieces of feedback. I'm going to read one. You're going to read one.
Okay, bounce. Yeah.
And then the third person's going to read one, which is me. Billy. Hi, gorgeous roosters. I felt the need for you to get the credit for a Winslow moment this week, as my daughter has been a backseat listener to some episodes recently. We've been doing some long drives and she's clearly been tuned in. I have just discovered PCP and have been binging a little. I've only just discovered podcasts, to be honest, and PCP is in my first 3. I'm loving it. Anyway, my 7-year-old, a fellow ginger who could pass as Nick and Billy's love child, had some big feelings before bed 2 nights ago. Her dad was on duty for this one as I was having a bath, so heard it from him later. There were some conflicting ideas between the two of them about how bedtime was going to play out that night, and my daughter stomped her beastie attitude off to bed with a final "fine then. I'm going only to appear in the lounge room a few minutes later to apologise. Oh, sorry, fine. I'm going. Sorry. Only to appear in the lounge room a few minutes later to apologise to Dad and say, Dad, I'm sorry about before. Do you have some strategies to help me with my frustrations? His mind was blown and I couldn't help but think you both would have a laugh at a little. I know exactly where that's come from. I do try to filter what she's passively absorbing, but it just goes to show how much they pick up. Keep showing up, guys. Your love and support for each other is palpable. We need more dads supporting dads the way you do. Thank you.
Yeah, amazing. All right. Hi, Dr. Billy and Dr. Nick. Thank you for this episode and all the work you do to help all parents. I was halfway through this ep last night when my 7-year-old son had a total emotional breakdown with tears in desperation. He'd been working so hard on his science assignment of endangered species, which they build on week in class. The task is to choose an endangered species, research it and build it out of upcycled materials. Yesterday was science day at school in week 3. He came to me just before bedtime in tears. Up until that, he was so excited and proud of his creation of the Burmese python, which he'd been working on for days, made from craft items and random items found around the home. He told me that when they had to choose an animal in week 1, he chose a pygmy python, but it's not endangered, and we're 3 weeks in, and Dad, it's too late. There were tears saying, I wish we didn't have to do this project. I want to throw away my python. I'm such a bad worker. I did it all wrong. My teacher's going to be mad at me. I could tell he was so proud of his creation, but really struggled that it doesn't fit the brief perfectly. Man, it was so hard not to say it's okay. It doesn't matter, the teacher won't care, which would have been my usual response, especially when I was just pushing through to bedtime. Instead, I held him and let a "it's okay" slip, but then corrected and said, it's actually not okay because I can see how disappointed you are. You worked so hard on it. It took probably 20 minutes to hold him, letting him rant through all the frustrations and then holding myself mentally so I didn't say things that dismiss his big feelings about the situation. It was hard work sitting with him through all that. It felt like eternity. Eventually he said, how do we fix this? I took this as my opening and said, I don't know, but I'll help you. We'll fix it together. The truth is I still didn't have a plan. And then I had Dr. Billy in my head about focusing on their strength. Let's start with what you're good at. You're good at drawing and writing books. Long story short, we landed on creating a book all about Burmese pythons that we can bring in week 4 to sit alongside all the work he's already done at school. This included a photo of his creation as the cover. Then we spent the next 15 minutes or so getting all the books on snakes and materials for executing that plan. And then, out of the blue, while we're working, he said, I'm going to make baby snakes until I calm down. He made about 6 baby snakes out of twisting brown packing paper. I thought this was amazing as a self-soothing activity. Okay, so I felt like there were some Winslows and Griswolds in that situation, but what else could I have done to support him? I don't know if I'd previously or consistently shown him that we come through this with me. He can come to me with problems when he's obviously struggling with this all day or even weeks. How could I have let him know he could come to me sooner? I felt like there was something more I could have done because something still doesn't feel right in my heart, like I let him down in some way or I could have done more. Would love to hear how I should respond next time with experience big feelings and get better at this hard stuff. I never have someone I could turn to when I had big feelings as a child or even as a young adult. I truly hope this will be different for my beautiful little man. Anything else he could have done? No, it's perfect.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Because they'll just come sooner next time as well.
Bang.
Right?
Yeah. Amazing.
Oh, mate.
Had to include
There's
that.
no way I would have caught myself with all of that. I'd been like, mate, teacher's going to be cool with it.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
And the beautiful, like, let it slip and then corrected it. That's all. It's all in the repair and the recovery.
Oh, my God.
Amazing.
Nailed it.
We could end it there, but yeah. So please keep listening.
Brilliant. I love that one. Thanks, Billy. Hey, number 3, last reflection before we get into some short punch.
There's 4.
Okay.
I've got
there's
one
a
too.
4. Oh, okay. There we go.
Sorry.
All right. 4. Sorry. Hi, boys. Wanted to send you an email about the positive effect your podcast is having on the community. I've been listening to your podcast for a while now, and my husband listened to the odd one I have forwarded to him. But it has definitely created interesting conversations in our house. I've been nursing for over 15 years and have always been passionate about changing the stigma that surrounds mental health. You're both doing that. On the weekend, my son finished off his first season of footy under 8s with a round robin. My husband has been the team's umpire and umpired these games. On the weekend in one of the games, there was a little boy struggling with big feelings on the field and getting overwhelmed easily. My husband saw the dad on the sideline and said his son might need some support. The dad, after the game, came up to my husband and thanked him for getting him the support rather than just sending him off. His son has ADHD and has struggled through the season, as often umpires would just punish him and send him off. Back at the room, some of the other parents were commenting on the bad kid, and my husband spoke to them about how he was just feeling overwhelmed and explained what his dad had said. It's so great to see attitudes change so that our children can flourish. A few months ago, my husband would have probably sent him off too. Well done on what you've created, and the conversations you're having are changing the way forward for our kids.
Amazing.
Ripper. Well done, Dad.
Thought you loved that one.
I was missing footy.
Dear Billy and Nick, I just listened to the Matrix episode. Lots to take in. Thank you. I thought I'd share a moment from my week. My husband was away for work and I was doing the before school morning juggle. 3 girls, 8, 12 and 14. 8 and 12-year-old girls clashed upstairs. Big clash. There's a dent in the wall. This is a first for all of us. I comforted the younger one, recipient of her sister's explosive reaction. The 12-year-old had locked herself in the bathroom. I was standing outside deciding what to do next. I waited. I'm the youngest of 4, so I can relate to Nick's share about protecting the youngest. The 14-year-old quietly knocked on the bathroom door and asked to be let in. They spoke. I could hear the 12-year-old really upset. I, no joke, logged into my laptop conscious of time and thinking I needed to check emails and think about work for the day. Hello, distraction. 14-year-old came out and then 12-year-old came for a big cuddle. Somehow I had the clarity to understand I couldn't have a big reaction. I knew all I could do was comfort her. I was aware of her physical response. She had a few good sobs and then took a deep breath. I found the youngest one downstairs on the couch feeling sad that she'd also hurt her sister. They all had a big hug. I found my 14-year-old in her room and said thank you. She quite simply said, "You're welcome." This is a girl, my oldest, who I could have written to you about many times before asking for support. There's so many parts of her experience that she struggles with. That morning I was taking her to a psych appointment, and she's had many challenges this year at school with calls home, and we've had meetings with concerns for her behaviour at school. It blew my mind that she quietly walked in and stepped into that role. I'm not sure if this message is about hope or presence or something else, but I felt the need to share. Thank you for who you are, for the work you do, for this joy you bring. You're changing lives. It's incredible.
Wow.
I didn't think that'd be that hard to read, but
Yeah.
sorry.
Tough read.
Amazing.
My goodness.
Anyway, this early in and I'm falling apart.
Apologise. Fine.
Let's do
You threw that one in late.
Yeah, I've read that so many times. This is 1% of what came through. And I'm sorry for how long this is going to go, but these are the ones that I just physically could not put in.
Yeah, wow. Amazing. Let's get into the short questions.
Yeah, I'll try and be
These are usually humorous. And I see there's a funny one about 4 in. So let's just go with it, Billy. Hey, Billy, what is the working definition of big feelings? How do we size up feelings? And is that useful?
Great question. And it's just like, it's done from a curious, not like, you shouldn't call them big or something like that. So yeah, it's hard to think about language. My definition is that we lose 100% control with big feelings,
Flooded.
And flooded. And I think that's why it's useful. But also positive emotions. You know me well enough. Positive emotions, I lose control. I overshare when I'm joyful. I tell people I love them when I'm joyful. I show affection when I'm happy.
Yep.
I get excited and giddy and I lose control. And sometimes I feel shame afterwards because I'll inappropriately, like in a meeting, say a joke I shouldn't have, like not an inappropriate joke, but I just should have been really serious. But I'm feeling really connected to people. So it goes both ways. Like, and it's, it's the language is really about, these are big, but this is what life's about. These are the best feelings. Like, we're just so focused on the ones that we really struggle with. But yeah, I also struggle with that. And the reason we want to talk about them and say big feelings is, Thoreau talks about like, and often people misquote it, and I'm probably about to misquote it as well, but the massive men live lives of quiet desperation.
Oh.
And that's from our childhood. We hold all this stuff inside. And what we're trying to do with this episode, this podcast, this social enterprise, is say you're not alone. You shouldn't feel alone. We're all struggling with this and we can all support each other. And that's really what big feelings are about. The challenge I'm going to have is doing a light topic next because I think everyone needs it, even Annalise is like, can you do something?
We love these topics, Billy. There are a lot to be in for a long time. I said to you, can we just do something like feeding or sleep, which is probably lighter for you and I now. Kind of past that. I'm like, this is
people who feel like that as well, thank Nick and Annalise for both saying to me, just something light.
Just do a comedy, a rom-com, like, I don't know.
Mate, I've even taken some light movies and made them heavy, so.
Have that.
Yeah, I've got that.
I shouldn't say it, but that's just fun. Hey, Billy, how to best handle the shame that comes when your toddler is having big feelings in public?
Yeah.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah. So in my mind, I struggle with this. I just think my role is to support her, and try and just focus on that and try and think, what's she doing? What's she experiencing? How can I help her with that? But it's hard. I still feel it.
Is this person saying the shame they feel that their kid is having that emotion?
Yeah, that's how I take it. Yeah,
like,
blowing up and everyone's looking. How did I let it get
to this far?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Or people are judging me because, I must not be a good parent. I'm stuffing this up because my kid's having a meltdown in public. And yeah, those of us out there that see that happening, like the amazing mum in the car park, are you okay? Just genuine empathy, compassion, not normalising and dismissing it, any of that stuff.
I tried this yesterday.
Yeah.
Yep. I was at ballet. Kid was having a meltdown and the mum was juggling everything and like trying to open a bag, I think, to get something to help the kid, like a comforter, a sheet or a whatever they are, stuffed toy. And I was like, oh no, it was in the pram, the bag, everything was moving. I was like, I was like, can I help you get that thing out? Like, just to be like, and she was just like, no. And then she ended up just sort of taking a moment and sitting down, and I was like, oh, no worries. But I was like,
amazing.
I wasn't going to be like, oh, that happens.
Yeah.
Someone's spitting the dummy.
Yeah, amazing. How can I help?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was like, how can I help?
Amazing, mate. That's why you're the real world of all the stuff that I can say.
A little bit too real, Billy. Hey, Billy. When someone tells me to calm down, it does the opposite. Why is that?
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Oh, I hate it. It's just unhelpful.
Yeah, it's the opposite of connection, validation.
It's like
curiosity.
Handle yourself.
How can I help?
You're isolating me more. You tell me I'm not fit to kind of be here.
Yeah. It's just, that's why. And think about like, how would I feel if someone said this to me if I found something really tough? Don't think about I'd be fine if that situation occurred for me. Think about if I was really struggling, what would I need?
Yep.
Sorry, I could do 2 hours on that.
I know, you could. Yep. Hey, but I feel like we've covered that a bit recently, that particular thing. And I've actually now started saying, if someone says it to me, I won't tell you who says it to me. I'm like, thank you, that's not particularly helpful right now. And they go, Don't want to be told to calm down.
It's funny you say that because the other night I was really struggling with a fairly harsh criticism that came through about something I said last episode, and I was just said to Annalise, I was like, I can't stop thinking about it. I'm really worried, blah blah blah, and she was like, Billy, you put so much into it. You can't be perfect. Like, there's always, you can't please everyone. There's always going to be people that will be upset with one thing that you've said or something like that. Try and move on from it. And I was like, I'm really struggling with it. I can understand why you're saying that, but I need that. And she was amazing because she gave me she's on nights for pretty much the rest of the year. She's sleeping 6 hours a day so she can see the kids. And Annalise is so phenomenal that she was able to just stop for 60 seconds and connect with me and be like, you're amazing. I'm sorry you feel that way. And that stuff. And do you know what? 2 days I was thinking about it, it was gone. It was like all that stress was gone from it just because of that 60 seconds she gave me. She didn't fix it.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah, powerful stuff.
Hey, what does my kid seeing my failure in big feelings? Sorry, my screen's broken. I have to scroll down a bit. Sorry. What does my kid seeing my failure of big feelings management? Sorry, I'm butchering this question. What does my kid seeing my failure of big feelings management do to my kids?
Yeah, I think what they're saying is like,
when I stuff it up,
am I harming them by stuffing up? No, you're helping them. You're guiding them through it. It's the opposite. Like we are not meant to be perfect, thank God, because it's impossible. But we're also not meant to hide our struggles with feelings and our failures with dealing with them from our kids, because that's how we show them it's also okay to fail, and we can show them how adults struggle with it and how adults might repair it, and then help them repair it when it happens to them.
Show good modelling.
Yeah. They watch what we do more than hear what we say.
That's
as
right.
We've said a lot.
I know that. Hey, Billy. I'm a day 6 parent here. Is there a wrong way to show big feelings?
It's just so cool thinking about someone who's 6 days in who's listening. So no, you just want to think about how can I get better at it? How do I do things that don't harm me and don't harm others? That's really what it's about. Like the feelings we all struggle with, what we're trying to do is find healthier ways to manage them for ourselves and those in our life. So yeah, it's a great question, but we're going to go deeper. So I promise we'll go deeper into some of
back
these
in day 6. Remember that?
Yeah, well, we might be not yet, but yeah, we're not yet, but planning. You know what I'm like, mate? I don't know when I'd stop if I'm just like
I'm done. Hey, Billy, what do you think about use your words when a child is crying?
Yeah,
I do this. I'll be honest. I'll make this easy for this man. I do this constantly. Like, mate, use your words. Mm-hmm. And I probably shouldn't. So tell me why I shouldn't and what should I do that's different.
So when you're struggling, how would it feel?
What I'm trying to do, Billy, is help the child communicate what the problem is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. So is that step 1?
No, probably acknowledging there's a problem and like letting them sit in it for a little bit. But, it's pretty hard when there's stuff going on.
Totally. But what we're aiming for, not all the time, is we connect.
I don't do it all the time.
Validate. Help them find calm.
Totally.
Like the snake. Like the dad with the snakes.
Dad with the snake nailed it.
Yeah.
It's like Jake the Snake. Anyway, not my best stuff. Hey, Billy.
No, mate, you are really good at this, but sometimes it's okay to say use your words, but just and if they go, oh, yeah, great, thanks, sorry.
Sorry, Dad, I forgot. Yeah,
if
sorry,
that's working.
my bad. Oh, no worries. Hey, Billy, how do you manage big feelings simultaneously, e.g. with siblings? You just skip the country? Great question.
There were people that said, I'm not kidding, I've got 5 kids, I've got 6 kids. How do I do this? And I was just like, so what I'm trying to do is take all these hundreds of questions and think about what are the common themes and how can I cover it off. And that was one that came through a lot. The amount of 3-year-olds and 7-year-olds, that was phenomenal. But yeah, you have a very low expectation. And remember, like if you're an educator with a group or you're a parent who's got more than 1 kid, you build it in one-on-one scenarios. And you build their capacity and your capacity as a team to partner and do that before you get to the point where 2 kids are struggling, 3 kids are struggling. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
You can't get over living in the country.
My sort of parent. I love that humour. I just love that humour.
I knew you'd
It's
like
good
that.
gear.
Whenever I see those ones, I'm like, Nick, I love this.
Hey, Billy, how do we help our kids on days we can't control our own feelings?
Yeah, what do you got for that one?
I don't know. It's Tuesday through Thursday, my joint.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, middle of the week.
Because you're juggling so much.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because I'm trying to achieve so much.
Well, the demand is so close to your capacity and goes beyond it sometimes. So
Better articulated.
Well, no, but it's just, but that's you're the one that's expressing it, and imperfectly is there's so much, so frequently where we're in that scenario, and you know, people who listen to a parenting podcast will be doing so well that they're aiming for, like, I can always co-regulate, I can always help kids, I can always validate and connect and not say use your words or, you know, whatever. The aim is that, like, most of the time it's okay that we're just keeping them safe and guiding them and doing all that stuff. And when we have the capacity, we get down on the ground with them and help them and think about, this is growth, I'm guiding you.
Yep.
But there's always going to be days. There's no hack if you're not 93 episodes in waiting for the bit where it's like, oh, this is the bit that will show that.
It's not coming. Mate. Tell you
Mate,
what,
you've committed.
Better
You've committed on.
What am I, 500, 450, I think the count is.
Yeah, you can put a clause in that if we're not on Rogan by then.
Clause? There's no formal deal here, I can tell you.
Oh, mate, I've checked. I've got lawyers that are involved for free now. They're amazing. By George.
I did notice the heat wasn't on today.
Doing promo.
I mean, how hard are we going here? It was cold. It wasn't that warm. I know you're in a t-shirt, but I still don't know why.
Well, yeah, so I ran the Border Collie at speed of light to try and get back in time.
Hey, Billy, how do we bridge the gap for 2-year-olds with expressive language delay and giant feelings? This is the pinnacle of what I reckon is the really tough point in a child early.
Yep.
The 2-year-old that's, you know, hasn't quite got their words yet.
Do you know how many 2-year-olds have expressive language delay?
A lot of them.
15% of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I just think that this is like that edge, that one, you know, just to build up, and you're like, oh, and everyone says to you, and you don't know what it means. They go, oh, they don't have their words yet, and you're like, oh, it'd be helpful if they had a couple, because they're so frustrated.
Yeah, totally. So just recognize that vulnerability in them, you know, lower the expectations. But a lot of it, you know, is not expecting kids to be able to articulate it. So the beautiful thing about the language development in our brains is that communication is so much more than just speaking. Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I
and
believe
what we
that.
used to do is we used to say to kids that were behind, pretend you don't know what they want. No, you have to say water. You have to say, I don't know, you know, but you're like, you're trying to get them to speak. That's the wrong thing to do.
I reckon that'll work.
You make them succeed at whatever form of communication they're using.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so the same, like the kid who has expressive language delay, show them that you're responding to their body posture, their facial expressions, the fact they're shutting down,
whatever
their
it
smoke
takes,
signals,
the chalk,
yeah, exactly.
Whatever you got, mate.
But we all do that, mate. Like I show so much of my expression through my body language.
Oh yeah.
You know, all of us are interpreting that. So for the little 2-year-old who's not great with speaking yet, just try and think, actually shouldn't put pressure on him to explain things verbally. My role is to interpret what's going on from him, and so much of that's non-verbal.
100%. Oh, it's so tough.
Really tough.
Just to that parent, it's just really tough. And yeah. Hey, what age do we start teaching our kids about managing big feelings?
Yeah, what have you got?
Well, they're already learning. You're already teaching them, Billy, through your body language and how you respond.
Yeah, I mean, people would argue from like during the pregnancy, they're learning about big feelings because mum's experience and, you know, everything that's going on there. And that's why we should be really protective of the mental health of, you know, people who are pregnant. Really early on, we're connecting with kids from the moment they're born. I've talked a lot about how I struggled with that with both of the kids for the first months. Like I reckon I'm tapping into Charlie now. Like even Annalise said last night, she's like, you guys are really connecting now. Okay.
Question is, I reckon this parent's saying, when do you speak to your kid about it?
Beautiful. Yeah. So what we know is that from the second year of life, for over 1, kids have some of the key ingredients to be able to understand this stuff. Mm-hmm. One of the things that they do is you put it's a test that's got different terms, but you put a mark on their face and then put them in front of a mirror. And if they touch their own face,
Or like lipstick.
yeah, or like whatever it is, and then they touch.
They do that themselves.
Yeah, but then they touch their face because they recognise that's them in the mirror.
Gotcha.
And what they're learning is that they're an individual and they can see themselves. So that's early kind of I'm different to everyone else. And then what they also need to learn is there is a set of like expectations that's around about not screaming or not hitting people and all that stuff, and they need to know that as well. And then they need to know that they can influence that behavior in themselves and how they succeed at that. The most important thing is that like with young kids, so you can teach like from 2, like I was doing this with Evie from 2, I was regulating with her. But in play, this is one of the reasons girls are so good. So at birth, joy, anger, fear, they come out with those, don't they?
Yeah.
2nd and 3rd year of life, they start having kind of reflective feelings. Empathy, shame, guilt, all those things. They're really heavy feelings.
Heavy.
And so what we've got to do, and it's interesting, we know girls are more advanced in their thinking about some of those, internalizing emotions that they experience. And I think a big part of it is because we do so much, like we have a broader play, like we're just kinder and gentler with that stuff. Whereas boys, and we've got an amazing question at the end about this, or reflection. But yeah, so just thinking about how in story time, in play, in interactions, do we talk about all feelings, all big feelings especially. So excited, I'm being a bit silly. So sad, I'm just shutting down. I feel guilt, I feel shame, I feel empathy, I feel compassion. But showing people, explaining from a very, very young age. So, from realistically before they're born, they start picking that up on us. We should be, very early on, even before the 1st year of life, just trying to talk about things like that and non-judgmentally. And then in stories and imaginative play and all that stuff, which we've talked about back in was it E.T.? It's really important that we have it all as a part of the narrative really early on.
Yeah. I got lost there. I need a little like mind blowing button because like 60 seconds. I'll be honest, you're talking. I'm still stuck on the point around like that. They don't know they exist, and the texter makes them realize that they're an individual. I'm like, I don't think about that. And then when you tell me stuff like that, everything else you say for 30 seconds, I find it hard because I'm stuck on that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. There's been like some criticism of that study, but I think it's still really powerful to make them realize. Yeah.
They're actually, sorry.
Yeah, and you can do it because early on they won't realize it's them. They'll just be looking at the reflection and being like, "What's this?" And then they come to a point where if it's on their nose, they'll touch their nose because they're like, "That's on me. That's me that I'm looking at."
Okay, not too many more of those today. Yeah.
Well,
just dumb it down a bit.
Yeah.
You can only handle so
Mate,
much.
I never know what I'm going to say. I'm like, it'd be cool to think about these questions. It was 1 a.m. when I finally got it down to this. Then Evie decided at 5 a.m. to get up this morning. She's like, Dad, can I get out of bed yet?
No. Hey, Billy, we're getting into the longs now. Let's roll. Okay?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like I get stern with you, Billy.
No, it's good. Yeah, and I'll be tight.
Hey, Dr. Billy and Nick. I can't believe I'm actually writing to you both. I hope you get a chance to read this. I'm a huge fan and want to say a quick thank you for your ongoing support, guidance, and help in creating a safe place for our listeners to learn, grow, and be vulnerable together. I thought this might be a short question, but maybe it's a long. Here it goes. I grew up in the 90s in a traditionally safe environment. My parents were both well educated and did the best they could as parents. Like many other households back then, 30 years ago, big feelings weren't welcome. My dad had the opinion of children should be seen and not heard. My mum was a primary teacher, and although she thrived in the workplace, I think the toolkit she had available for dealing with big feelings at home was limited. That's really hard to write. So in our house, we learnt to play by the rules. Be quiet, not disagree with my parents, and not show when we were having big feelings. As a result, I'm now learning as a 32-year-old and a mum of a 2.5-year-old what it means to actually feel. I get embarrassed when I admit I don't know how to process big feelings in a healthy way myself. My psychologist has told me, name it to tame it. That is a super simple tip that I'm only just learning now. My question to you is, how do I show my daughter at an age-appropriate level that I myself am having big feelings? I've learned to suppress them so well, and now I need to show her the feelings are okay, but I don't know how to do that. I want to show her when I'm sad, when I'm mad, when I'm happy, but I'm worried I'll burden her with my emotions. I don't want her to think that my feelings are her fault or caused by her, even though they are often triggered by her big emotions, but that's not her responsibility, it's mine. I'm worried that I don't show her my emotions. She won't know how to deal with my situation when other people show her their emotions. Anyways, love your work. The pod has changed how myself and my husband parent. We talk about your podcast almost daily, and I often find myself thinking, what would Dr. Billy say? P.S. Nick, your tip a while back about lowering expectations was the most helpful thing I've heard. It's really sunk in with me and has been a huge help in managing my life, happiness and anxiety. Big thanks again. Huge fan. Thank you.
Dr. Nick. You're amazing, mate.
Nick said lower the bar.
No, but it's true.
It's true.
And it's
It's
also
true.
like
It's
this parent is like breaking a cycle multi-generationally, and they're, you know, all of us grew up like this. Our parents weren't thinking like this. And yeah, so yeah, lower the bar for yourself. It's okay to stuff it up. Like, how do you show?
Stuffed it up yesterday walking around the block. Kids were at each other a bit before school. We'd had these 2 most amazing days because we've been working really hard on a couple of things. When I say amazing days, like we've been working really hard at a couple of things and they were just mint. A couple of things at school have just been going the right way that hadn't been for a long time. Anyway, it was day 3. I think we're all a bit tired from all the work it took to make these days great. Took my daughter for one of them. I was like, they were just at each other and it was sort of 20 to 9 before school. A lot of detail here. Sorry, parents.
Beautiful.
And I was like, I was just frustrated because I was trying to start work early because it's sort of anyway. I was like, I grabbed the other one. I said, I'm going to take one of them for a walk around the block. Just need to get them separated. Not sure if that's the right thing to do, but I was
beautiful.
like, for survival, I'm like,
that is the right thing
If
to
I
do.
walk this one for 10, 15 minutes around the block, while mum gets the other one out of the, be good. They were just at each other and I wasn't giving enough support because I was doing work. So I got stuff this, I'm going out. Getting around the block and I was agitated that I had to be there. I was pissed off that I had to be walking around the block that early. And that was coming through with how I was talking to one of my daughters. And they were saying, I want to put this jacket on over that one. And I just sort of had the irrits. And they said to me, oh, I'm sorry, Dad. And I was like, and it was that sort of like, oh, I'm sorry I've annoyed you. And this is coming from a 4-year-old. And I was like, oh, no. I was like, honey, no, you haven't done anything wrong. It's me. I'm just, I don't know. I'm angry and I don't know why it's not fair. So let's just sort of, so I stopped and I took it from being a task of like, oh, I've just got to keep you busy 15 minutes to be like, oh, I've got to be a bit better than that because it's such a shitty start to the day and it was just poor. So sort of wound it back a bit, but it was, you know, the kind of damage was done when it gets to the point your 4-year-old's apologising to you because you're angry.
No, they feel,
It's like, it's not good. So the rest of the day got a lot better, but I just made me check myself. Not sure if that's relevant to this.
It's super relevant. And mate, you did the right thing. You said, this is beyond me. I need to lower expectations that are on me, separate the kids, just focus on one of them. And then understandably, because you're human, you're agitated and like, yeah, and that must feel awful in that moment when she says that to you. You're just like, oh,
guilt.
man. Yeah, and I've had, like, I won't run through them both, but yeah, both days of the weekend, like solo parenting, I had massive failures, like 2 biggest failures I reckon I've had. Yeah, so I'm just like soloing after a massive 5 talks, 4 days of clinical work, 2 days of research, 5 talks, and I'm just doing all this stuff and trying to like keep it all together. And I was just, both of them tipped in parenting environments, and both days I had one point where I just lost it. And both times Evie was right on top of me and like came into me and was like, like trying to figure out what's going on. And I did the same thing. I caught it like you caught it. And I just realized there's this little kid here that's, wondering what's going on. And it's not about explaining, I know this person's not asking this question. Oh, I'm just really stressed because I'm trying to do stuff and I'm trying to do this and I've got so much on my plate and your mum's on nights and she's really struggling, but she's better at, managing it all. Like, I'm not going to go to that level, but it's just to say I'm just finding things a bit tough and I just got frustrated. I just got a bit angry.
Finding things a bit tough.
Yeah.
Just got frustrated.
Yeah. And just saying what's going on. And it's not explaining it, but we're early on in development. We just want to help them have language around what's going on.
I just got frustrated.
Whereas older kids, you can go, I'm stressed. Like when something comes, I'm so close to my capacity that when something additional comes, it's too much, like.
You'd say that to a teenager.
Yeah, or even an older primary school age kid. Yeah, I've just got, but you don't want them to hold the stress of it. You want them also to realize you're working on it, you're going to work on it, you're going to get the solution, but this is why I'm struggling with it at the moment. But you don't want them to, like, as a kid, I held that for my mum and like, it was really hard. It's not appropriate to talk about it now, but it was really difficult.
Cool. Great opening question. Hey, Dr. Billy and Nick, I hope you and your families are doing well. I want to start by saying I cannot truly emphasize just how grateful I am to you both for your work, time and energy you put into the podcast week after week. I've learned so much, and I'm not being flippant when I say I have no doubt that you are saving lives. I recommend it to absolutely everyone, to the point that one of my friends told me I'm in danger of being a cult. Being in the cult. I talk about it so much. I find it so refreshing in the world of sometimes toxic masculinity that you both show how much you mean to each other. And I think everyone should have a Nick to their Dr. Billy and vice versa. I'm also one of the ones who immediately felt the episode couldn't have come at a better time. And I hope I'm not too late to write in. I'm a mum of 2 little boys, 4.5 and almost 6. They are bright, energetic and sweet, and also part feral at times. They make me laugh every day. My eldest is a dual diagnosed autistic and ADHD, and as a result of knowing more about it, I've come to realise I tick most of the boxes for ADHD too, which in one aspect is great, as it's given me a deeper understanding of what my son must be going through and how much to help him. But on the other, makes me find things often overwhelming, while I have a lot of guilt and shame over. I'm doing the best I can to show them both how much they are loved and to build them up, and how to navigate all kinds of feelings and to repair whenever it is ruptured, which sadly is more often than I would like. I'm so scared of damaging my boys, as I have often felt broken throughout my life, and ultimately, whatever happens in life, I want them to know they can count on me to support them however I can. We have a lot of big feelings in our house, and at the best of times with both my eldest... We have a lot of big feelings in our house at the best of times with both our eldest, who has a number of challenges that includes a developmental delay in speech and communication delay, impulse control issues, and shows signs of anxiety and anger, as well as being a huge sensory seeker, and my youngest, who is super sensitive and highly emotional child. Some parts are definitely getting easier as they are growing, but we are in a period of even high emotions due to recent bereavement in our close family after a period of illness, which has brought a lot of emotions that I'm having a hard time getting a handle on, and I feel I'm running on fumes. I lost my dad as a child after an illness which left him unable to walk or easily communicate by the end. Due to growing up under the shadow of illness, I did not have a regular kind of childhood as he passed when I was 9, and for a couple of years before that, I was helping with caring responsibilities such as feeding and healthcare while living with an older sibling who I was terrified of, as they could be extremely violent, manipulative and controlling. I was catapulted into having expectations of those of an adult before I had the emotional capacity to cope with them. I grew up in the 80s in Ireland, where you just didn't talk about things outside of your family, and having a sibling beat you up was classed as normal. As a result, I learned some extremely unhealthy coping mechanisms and ended up in some abusive and traumatic relationships because it was what I knew and was familiar with. After my dad's death, my siblings or mum never really talked about what happened in any great depth and pretty much just got on with it. And I still find myself largely shutting down emotionally to allow myself to cope during difficult times. It was genuinely only when I heard your podcast on Batman Begins and heard the developmental trauma for the first time that I finally was able to put words to some of the parts of my childhood. I was driving when I was listening at the time and had to pull over the car as it was like a light bulb went off in my head and I cried for the first time in years. Due to the recent passing of my family, a lot of issues of my childhood have resurfaced as I found many parallels with my father's illness and death, and I find I am struggling with handling this kind of adversity with my children. I'm so exhausted. On top of everything, my youngest is in week 4 of coming home with various illnesses from the petri dish that is preschool. Burnt out and overwhelmed, and with work, parenting and supporting my partner with the loss of a parent, that I find myself returning to old and sometimes dangerous habits to cope. Feel that my children are definitely picking up on it as their behaviour has been challenging recently, that I find myself often in the middle of trying to calm everyone down as there are so many high emotions going on between them both or between them and my husband. My question, if my rambling hasn't confused too much, is how can you navigate the big feelings of your child when your body feels in a permanent state of fight or flight and when there is no break in sight as you have no village and extremely limited support? I struggle between knowing which big feelings to handle first as they all seem big when everyone is shouting at once. And I'm trying to return to the pattern of, and I'm trying not to return to the pattern of my childhood where I disassociated a lot. Ultimately, I want to show my children how to cope and have resilience when my life is just plain hard. Apologies for what ended up being the email equivalent of War and Peace, but genuinely from the bottom of my heart, I thank you again for your time and much love and gratitude to you both, as always.
Yeah, I came in while you went and got a glass of water before we hit record and turned our phones into airplane mode. So yeah, it's amazing. So a lot of us that have experienced this stuff, we might be in our 30s and 40s and 50s and older, but parts of us are still that little kid. And we need to do the same thing.
Yeah. I was getting a tissue. Go for it.
We need to do the same thing that we would do for a little kid who has experienced all this trauma and has held more than they should have. And we need to be kind to them and gentle with them and drop their expectations and show them that they're safe, they're valued, they're loved. And we need to do that with ourselves sometimes. And I think those of us that have experienced this awful stuff as little kids, we're just so hard on ourselves, and we were just in survival mode. So we still think like that. We're still just trying to survive. But actually what we have to do is think, no, I need to soothe myself. I need to heal myself. I need to do all that. And you need to do that before you can attend to your kids. And this is an amazing parent who has had so much trauma and needs to go back to that. Now, part of it is going and seeing a professional. As I've mentioned previously, I'm seeing someone now, and it's amazing because I get to have this guilt-free conversation about all the stuff that's happened, and that is therapeutic in itself. But then to have someone who can guide me, and this guy is great, but essentially what he and I will work on is how can I find understanding for myself? How can I know that it wasn't my fault, that it was too much for me to hold as a kid? And then think about what is the pathway out. It's being kind and gentle and looking after ourselves, realizing and acknowledging that harm, and then thinking about relationships, as I've said, are what heal us. They're the most powerful thing of our lives, and emotions are so tied up in that, especially the big ones. And, be kind to yourself and then build the energy and generate the ability to then be kind and there for your kids. And like the guy with the snakes, you don't have to have the answers. You just need to say, I'll figure it out with you. Anyway.
Amazing articulation. I hope writing it all down for that person helped anyway, because they're doing an amazing job.
Yeah, like it's so hard. Every single thing that comes through is read. And people do say that just writing it down has been amazing. And that's why I think just hearing it is so amazing for people, not my answer.
Yeah. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, what a phenomenal parent. She's amazing. And yeah, shout out to Ireland.
Ireland, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, those of you who don't know, Billy's mum's Irish.
Yes, from Melonhead.
Melonhead?
Yeah, tiny part of Donegal.
Oh, it's a place.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
It's like, is that an affectionate, like, yeah, no.
Yeah, half of her ashes are on the grave of her parents in the cemetery there for the tiny amount of people that live there. Her family, her brother used to own the pub there, and the other half are in the ocean between the headland and Innistrahole, a tiny island that my ancestors came off. So,
goodness.
Yeah. So it's amazing. So I feel a real connection to that.
Okay. Question 3. Hi, Billy and Nick, biggest fan. I could gush over you both forever and the amazing work you do, but I'll leave that for another time. We'll cut to the chase. I have a firecracker 4-year-old boy who has just been dealing with big emotions for some time now. His big emotions usually present in anger, which often turn violent, kicking, hitting and throwing things around the house, not to mention his ear-splitting shriek, which scares his little sister and hurts our ears. We know that by the time it's gotten to this point, that we're beyond the stage of reasoning, so we do try to get to the issue before it happens, but more often than not, it escalates before we get a chance to prevent it. We've tried all the things they say in the books and podcasts, getting down their level, labelling the feelings, telling him it's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to hurt things or people. We do try to offer alternative suggestions. Let's go scream in the pillow, hit the couch, but nothing seems to work. Often escalates so much that our safety for everyone, us, his little sister, and our belongings, we need to restrain him. This involves holding his arms if he's hitting, or his legs if he's kicking, or even lying on top of him to immobilise him if he's totally frantic. Not in a harmful way, just to stop him, at the same time saying calmly that we will not let him hurt us. We know this just escalates the situation as he hates being restrained, but it seems to be the only thing that stops him from doing things we hate so much, hurting things around him, screeching, throwing things. Eventually, he says he is calm. Eventually, when he says he is calm, we stop. Sometimes he'll start kicking again and we have to start all over again. When he's totally worn out and stops fighting, he'll come in for a cuddle crying. We know this isn't the most ideal approach to his anger, and it absolutely destroys us having to resort to this, but we are at our wits' end as to how to deal with violence. We've just started seeing an OT who is engaging in play therapy with our son to help understand where the anger comes from and how to manage it before it gets too far off the rails. My question is restraining him the right approach? And do you have any strategies when dealing with violence to help everyone safe? To help keep everyone safe and let him know the feeling is okay, just not the behaviour. By the way, his biggest triggers are transitions or being told he can't do something or have something that he wants, though depending on the mood, anything can trigger him. Thanks, team. Can't wait for the next episode. Gee, that's tough.
We had
as an existence, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's really hard if you're dealing with that that's wow.
Yeah, so the way that we want to think about kids that are that dysregulated is safety is the priority. Now that can seem really like, oh yeah, great. What I actually mean by that is what the parent is doing is right. What you want to try, which is almost impossible, but our role is to keep them safe, but to work on ourselves trying to find calm. And we should always go towards kids who are struggling. We've talked about this before. We don't lock them in rooms. We don't neglect them and say, I'm not going to talk to you while you're doing this, or we're all going to leave this space because you're so dysregulated, all those things. We go to them. Now, you can go to a child and hold them to keep them safe. to keep everyone else safe too. You do it in a way that is with love and with firmness. And it's really important that kids will learn with time that every time I get this dysregulated, that I'm going to hurt myself or someone else, my parent shows that they have control, that it's okay for me to be like this, that the relationship will be my pathway back and they are here to help me, including keep me safe. You just have to do it like consistently for a while with these kids. But it's the same principle of like, if they were going to run out on the road, you know, you would do whatever it takes to show them that you are in control. I will keep you safe. And that's why our kids get comfortable walking around busy cars, because they're like, there's a person here who will make sure I'm safe. And doing that will actually help. The OT's doing amazing stuff about trying to explore why. You're not going to find that quickly. You've already identified some of the triggers. So think about transitions we've got to work on when I've got the capacity to help him. There's not another sibling here that might be at risk and I can 100% support him. It's the best part of the day for him. He's rested. I'm rested. Let's work on it. Let's work on him not getting what he wants and all that stuff when I can provide him support. But when it's gone, I come in and I hold you.
Do you celebrate the good transition? Do you flag with, I'm just asking questions. Do you flag with the kid that or do you tell them that, hey, you really struggle with transitions, that's where you get the most angry, so what we're going to do is we're going to work on getting you to school, and then when they do, you like celebrate it? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, this is what we're working on. We're working on us getting better at this.
Yeah.
You know, we're working.
Do you say you can fall apart in the arvo when I pick you up, mate, but let's get you to school in the first instance?
Yeah. You always know,
like,
but you always give them permission. It's always okay.
If you fall apart, it's
kids
fine,
learn
mate,
that
this is what we're working
kids
on.
learn that it's okay to dysregulate, and it's okay to completely lose it.
Yeah.
Because we go towards them, and we say, "You are needing help, and I'm coming towards you."
I'm always going to come towards you.
Everything. Now, you've got to be careful about proximity seeking, because you need to watch them and go, I'm actually making it worse, but I'm still here. I'm coming mentally, I'm coming physically, because I know you need support. And that's what that kid is doing, including you actually can't keep yourself safe right now. My role is to come and keep everyone safe by coming here and holding you.
I'm going to keep you safe. Do you say that sort of thing?
Yeah, we just say I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay.
And they're screaming and kicking and fighting and all that stuff. And like, this parent is doing it so well, because the kid finally comes down and comes to them.
Yeah.
And sobs and cries and sees them as a safe harbour, but they're just beyond their capacity. But this kid things will get better. It's just, you have to be, like, I hope I'm making sense about the consistency thing. It's really important.
Yeah.
It's really important with boundaries that are consistent, you know, and we say this always happens. They learn that they can't do that thing because it's unsafe, but also because there's always that control comes in, that support comes in that keeps me and the other person safe consistently. And that's just, I will learn that when it moves, or sometimes they get away with it.
How would it move for this parent?
Sometimes I'm able to hit someone else. Sometimes I'm able to throw stuff through the window. Sometimes I'm able to do that. Then they feel uncertain about it. And kids feel safe when things are predictable.
Yeah.
It's on a simpler level. It's why predictability is more important than routines. Like, a routine is like this. Well, this is the exact structure that we're going to do.
Yeah.
This is exactly what your day looks like. This is exactly, whereas predictability is deeper than that. Yeah. It's not some like routine on paper. So, you know, our morning is exactly like this, and we do exactly this. And if we don't do this order of breakfast or something, you melt down. Whereas predictability is, we try and do this. If it veers though, it's okay for me to lose it and get upset because I didn't get the right breakfast or you did things out of order, but I know you'll come into me. So that's predictable. What we often make the mistake of, we need to be perfect in our routine, but what we try to do is be consistent in our predictability.
Yep. So I'm predictable. Yeah. The parent's predictable.
The support you will get is predictable.
The support's predictable.
You start hitting, you start kicking. The situation changes. I'm going to come in.
Gotcha.
I'm going to come in and I'm going to hold you until you get calm to the point where I can connect with you.
Yeah.
But the kid who's dysregulated to the point where they're going to hurt themselves or someone else is not at the connection point. They're at the, I feel unsafe. Those kids feel unsafe. Often it's anxiety. And you need to think about, I need to make you feel safe again, and I will do that by showing you that you can't hurt someone else and you can't hurt me and you can't hurt yourself.
Okay.
we'll probably come back to that because we could do that just as a single topic.
That'd be good. Hi, Nick and Billy. Thanks for the episode on big feelings. Very relevant for me at the moment. And I took a lot away. Over 3-year-old and a 4-week-old. The 3-year-old is excited about being a big sister, but very understandably, she's struggling with not being at the centre of mum and dad's universe anymore. This is playing out in an escalation in a number of tantrums in the mornings before daycare and in the evenings before bedtime. I assume triggered by the separation anxiety leaving me. I liked your step-by-step walkthrough for drop-off, but all her resistance is coming before we leave the house. Lots of delay tactics, refusing to brush hair and teeth and getting dressed, yelling about the TV being turned off. I know I shouldn't be doing screen time before daycare, but we're in a rut with it. Tears and anger and screaming, refusing to leave the house. It's very trying for me and trying my best to name, acknowledge and validate her feelings. But it's the same fight every morning. So I'm waking up tense. So my patience runs low far quicker than it used to. I end up bargaining, pleading, snapping. But can you help with some steps for leaving the house so I can validate her feelings, make sure she feels secure and loved, but also we can do what we need to do? Thanks so much for your podcast. A mum who's trying her best.
What do you got?
Mum's got a 4-week-old, so I'd be waking up tense anyway. Like, good God. I mean, it all sounds really tough. I mean, if you can get some extra support, find it. You can ask people around you. I'm just thinking like really practically because it's really hard. 4-week-olds are no joke.
Yeah, and if I can take any shame away from people using screens in the morning, Evie's up at 6 and we've got to be out of the house 6:30, 6:45, and she every morning now, to the point on the weekend when we can actually spend time with her. And I can't justify to her, well, no, we actually want to spend time with you, you know. So we do that every morning. And I've got 2-3 hours a day with her at the most. And I sit there going, man, I should be interacting with this kid, but it's chaos. We're all trying to get ready. So there's 2 parts to this. A lot of it is built in the relationship outside of the times of distress, you know, and how do you really connect with this kid, make sure they feel genuine partnership all that time with all their difficulties, because the hardest thing that they are struggling with will be the last thing they get better at. When you are stepping through that though, what you want to do, and remember plan A, plan B. Plan B is like, we could just got to go. Plan A is all about, I'm here with you. I can see you're finding this tough. Do you think you could? And the second half of that sentence is a step that they can make and succeed that is towards what perfect looks like. Do you think you could help me carry this thing to the car? Because you're really strong. Do you think, like, let's see, I know how fast you are. I wonder if you could beat me to the car. Now, you're not avoiding or dismissing or distracting. What you're saying is what we are trying to achieve together is getting the car without distress. But you don't say stop doing this, stop screaming, stop delaying, stop, put down the iPad. What you want to show kids is what you want them to go towards and think, is this achievable? If you're failing at it, then the step is too big. You're not giving enough support. So that's really important. It's really important. The language is specific and directive, and I'm going to do it with you, and just think about that.
Beautiful.
Get down, connect, and go, do you think you could help with this? Would it be okay if? And it's intention, it's positive, it's not do this. It's a question, a suggestion. It's much gentler, isn't it?
Yeah, I've started doing that. Amazing. No, not that. Sorry, not doing that. I've just started doing that whole like they take something or just that general like, oh no, but watch, they're about to give it back, or no, they're great at sharing, so that they're about to give that back. Like you lead them.
Yeah, totally.
It's like leading.
It is leading.
It's just leading.
Yeah.
Oh no, guys, give her a second. She's having it for 1 minute, but she's just about to give it back. Just give her a second, and then they just go.
Yeah, hang on a sec. And then they sense that they're going to succeed at something by sharing.
Yeah, and then you go, yes.
It's perfect, but you're also not give it back.
No,
because give it back is the battle.
It's like, mate,
give it back is the battle. You're forcing me, and that's
good at
like, I won't get into labels that get put around conditions.
No, just give her a minute. She's fine. She'll give it back because she's great at sharing. Just watch her. Just let her look and play with it for a second. Watch this. She's about to give it back. Watch.
Yeah.
And they go.
Yeah, amazing.
And then we all celebrate her.
Yeah.
As opposed to like making her give it back and then going, great sharing.
Yeah.
Taking it off her. No, you know.
Yeah, it's not genuine.
No, it's not. It doesn't work. They can feel it. Hey gents, got a question about handling big feelings and consequences. My partner and I are struggling to manage her son's big emotions. He's 9. He gets angry and he slams doors and yells and swears. He's always apologetic afterwards, but we're struggling to get him to adopt better strategies for managing this. After the most recent outburst, I told him I would be removing the door from his room, as I've warned him about it multiple times before. I know this isn't going to make it better, but I don't have the resource to repair things. I'm pretty torn right now, would appreciate some advice. Realest short question we've had. This is a genuine approach I reckon I'd try when my kids are I hear this is a thing. I'm going to take that door off the hinge. You come home, there's no door on the hinge, so they can't slam it. A slammed door would be triggering for me.
Yeah, someone was like, how come when I slam the door, I feel better with how angry I am? And I was like, yeah, that didn't make the cut. But essentially it's because we have this exertion, this output, this release. And that's what a lot of these kids are looking for and why they become so physical. But that's not the question. The question is, So the question is a really important one. And anyone, like PCP community is amazing, but these are the questions I want. These are the people that it's amazing to have listened to.
Ripper.
Yeah, because this is where we can affect change. And shame has no place anywhere on this podcast or about comments that I've said or emails. No. So please don't do that. But also about other people sending in things like this. So this is amazing. I completely understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
But this dad who is with this partner and has this partner's kid in their life, drop everything that you can and focus on building a connection and a relationship with this kid. You have this huge potential now with a kid this age to just go in and celebrate them. And you know the trick with kids like this and as they get older, get them to teach you something they care about.
So get the 9-year-old to teach the stepmom.
No, maybe.
I think it's.
Was it in there?
Whoever,
I can't remember.
Whoever the step.
And I might stuff up dads and mums sometimes because I'm trying to remember.
Because we anonymise it, so that's why we can't remember. So whoever the step parent is or co-parent is, get the kid to teach that person something.
Yeah, so show them how valued the relationship is. Hey, you're so awesome. Teach me that video game. And when they're calm, not when they're stressed. Yeah. But when they're calm, show them how important the relationship is. Can you teach me that thing? Like, hey, I'm really interested in that thing. And you go, what the hell does that have to do with him pissing me off so much that I want to take the door off the hinges? Because what you're showing him is that I'm actually really interested in you. I really care about you. I value who you are, what you're good at, what you care about. And then you will never have to worry with time, not quickly. You won't have to worry about the door. When kids are struggling, we go towards them. Punishments and consequences, and they show that support and love and the relationship is conditional. You need to be like this, or I punish you, or I do something, I exert myself. Now, the kid who's dysregulating so much they're going to hurt themselves, we need to bring in control and say you are safe. The kid that's so distressed that you get to the point you want to take the door off the hinges is just the relationship needs work.
The relationship needs work.
Yeah.
Don't take the door off the hinges.
Don't take the door off the hinges. Don't take the door off the hinges for another reason, which is why this person's amazing at sending this in, because the kid might feel less safe if the door's off. They might feel less autonomy. They might feel less like...
untrusted.
Yeah. So keep the door on.
Great question.
Keep the door on. It's okay to close the door. It's okay to slam the door. That's you distressed. We're working on this together. That's how you stop them slamming the door.
You've done at that stage anyway, right?
Yeah,
not teaching them
anything. Don't take the hinges off. Yeah. Yes, it's not. None of these are moments to teach kids things when they're really distressed.
But get them to teach you something.
Yeah.
I love it. That's a good one. Heineken Billy. Firstly, thank you both. But good start. Firstly, thank you both for this incredible podcast. My husband and I are both newly avid listeners and constantly referring to gems we have learned through the podcast when we're navigating raising our beautiful 7-year-old and 2-year-old. Having tangible options and tools to use in times of crisis or just regular parenting is so powerful for us. For us, we can see the difference in our kids when we sometimes get it right and try practical options we have learned from listening. The Big Feelings episode immediately took me where I think we experience our biggest feelings from my gorgeous 2 and almost 3-year-old girl, my husband and myself. My little girl has always shown parental preference for me, mum, which is understandable as I am her primary caregiver and have almost 2 entire years off with her before returning to work in a part-time capacity. My husband works full-time and spends a night away for work fortnightly. We roll with the parental preference, but fear we might have got ourselves into something that we can't seem to get back out of. For at least the past 4 months, my little girl does not want my husband to complete any bedtime routine with her. This means that the moment we let the kids know it's bath time, she starts saying, "Mummy, do it, Mummy, do it." If he even attempts to assist her with taking off clothes, teeth brushing, putting her in the bath, having a cuddle, putting PJs on and then going to bed. He can sometimes help with getting her in the bath, but from then on, it's mum only. The big feelings are always amplified at the end of the bath time where he cries, "Mummy, do it!" Come with tears and dysregulation from her, even if he asks, "Can Daddy get you out of the bath tonight?" Where we end up is me inevitably doing her bedtime routine every night. We never allow anger or resentment to come toward her after an attempt from Dad to help. We know she has such secure attachment with me, and this is lovely. What is really challenging is she has wonderfully secure attachment to my husband also. What is really challenging is she has wonderfully secure attachment to my husband also and is happy for him to do everything with her except the nighttime routine. We've tried so many options, me standing in the bathroom saying, "I'm right here, you're safe, Daddy's going to help you tonight," me sitting in another room in the house to reduce my presence, my husband giving her options. "Would you like me to have a cuddle with Dad in your room or the lounge room?" Kindly telling her in simple language that Daddy will take her out of the bath. You name it, I reckon we've done it. Last night, we did our regular weekly attempt at Dad taking her out of the bath. It wasn't pretty and ended up me sitting in a room listening to her incredibly dysregulated screeches and screams of "Mummy," while my poor husband calmly and gently spoke to her while he took her out of the bath as she kicked and pushed him away as much as her little body could, yelling, "Go away, Daddy, no, Daddy." He got her into the room where I was sitting and she lay face down on the floor for some time with us both there with her. She's a kid. We need to come to us. She's a kid we need to let come to us instead of scooping her up for a cuddle. Before she got up and let me cuddle her and continue the bedtime routine. Sorry. This has been happening now for months, and ideally we would love to share doing the bedtime routine with our kids, but it always ends up like this. I also wonder now how much we have conditioned her behaviour, because whenever my husband asks or says he will take her out of the bath, she immediately gets very upset and cries for me. How do we support her feelings, but also have my husband be involved in the lovely part of the day? It's important for me to share with my husband. Is such a wonderful partner and parent. I joke that the nickname is the enabler, as he would do literally anything if our kids asked him, even if it's something they're perfectly capable of doing themselves. I see that this experience chips away at him to the point he was in tears after last night's attempt. The situation isn't working for our family, and I hope you can help us with an avenue where we can all manage our big feelings better. Thank you so much.
Yeah, totally understand. So I'll try and be quick on this one. She's just sensing the pressure. She's sensing the pressure about that specific thing. And so she's starting to dysregulate and elevating. You got to take the pressure out. As hard as it is, you just got to go, cool, this is a thing that mummy just does as much as you can for a while. And I promise when the pressure's gone out for a little bit, I bet you the kid initiates dad helping with a bit of it. Evie, at the moment, we ask her everything. Do you want mummy or daddy to do it? Like if there's things like this and both of us are there, do you want mummy or daddy to brush your teeth? Do you want mummy or daddy to do this? It's never me. Like I haven't sat next to her for a meal because one of us sits next to Charlie and one of us sits next to Yvette. And I'm never allowed to sit next to Evie. But that's just her preference at the moment. That will change. Whereas everything else, she shifts on it. This kid is just stuck that mum has to do this stuff because she's sensing pressure around it. And that's the parental hierarchy at the moment. But it changes with time, and I promise it will. This dad's doing a phenomenal job. The other thing is, like, set up some kind of honeypot scenarios where, like, dad's doing something really, really fun and she comes over to it to show that, like, to give her opportunities.
What's an example?
Like, I'm just doing this really fun thing. And just, oh, look what daddy's doing. Not daddy wants you to do that with him. And then she goes over and it's success and all that stuff, and then reinforce it, because what it's showing, it give her the chance to take the lead, to go to dad, to do things. And even things that she needs a bit of help with will then come from that. And the last thing that she'll kind of start doing is she'll go, I want daddy to do it, when it's like getting out of the bath or that bit. But it's just pressure. These are pressure points, and we often, whenever they get pressure, they just sense a little bit of uncertainty. This is coming. No, I want mum. And then she's dysregulating when they're trying to do stuff to facilitate dad being the person. But what I would say is just take the pressure off it at the moment. The dad, as easy it is to say, because I completely understand how dad feels, but this is not something that, oh, if it stays like this, it's going to fracture their security, their attachment. It's not. It's just that she's got a really strong parental preference for mum at the moment for this specific component of her day that's got a lot of pressure. So just pulling that out is really important.
Good response.
Thank you. But yeah. But
Very good.
Yeah, we just see it a lot. We see it heaps.
Yes.
In clinic. So yeah, and I experience it. I just have to be, I'd love to see, I wish, it's at the moment as well, it's always mummy reads the book in bed next to me. I love doing that.
Yeah.
But I put so much pressure. I'm always like I'm the same. She has to come to me. But I just love, like, affection and cuddles and kisses and stuff. And Annalise gets heaps more from her because she doesn't put any pressure about it. Whereas I'm like doing it all the time. She's like, no. One of the gorgeous kids that we went away with, they've got 2 boys and a girl in the middle. He always used to say to Evie, can I have a cuddle? And she would say, no, not right now. And he'd be like, okay. I was like, I feel you, mate. I'm constantly trying to get cuddles off her as well. And he's such a gorgeous boy with gorgeous parents.
They're so different, aren't they, kids, from one to the other?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do a whole episode on why that is, but we'll park it because we'll hit 3 hours on an ep.
We're not hitting 3 hours. All right. Number 7, 4 to go. 4 to go.
4 to go. Yeah.
All right. You can smash these out because you're good at this.
Thank you. Wow. Bang. That's it, guys.
Leading.
Don't say don't take too long. Say you're good at this. Sorry, go.
You've got to finish it quickly. No, you're good at finishing this quickly.
Whatever you do, don't take too long.
All right. You're wasting time. No, not wasting time. Billy. Hey, Dr. Nick and Billy. Thanks for the podcast. I appreciate all the information you share with the community. I have a deeply feeling 7-year-old son. He's a brilliant boy who communicates well with me. He really struggles around losing, especially to his little sister in 5-year-old board games. We're playing Snakes and Ladders 2 mornings ago, and we play that you have to get the exact number to end, of course, because that is the rule. Sorry, that's my addition. You can't just roll through. Yeah. Sorry.
You might be able to relate to this kid.
I'm with you here. Oh, I can relate to this parent. Oh, right. Okay. He had to roll a 1 to win, and his sister a 5. She won. He picked up the board and tore it in 4 pieces. I know the board. We played a game of trouble on another day last week again. He flipped the board when he lost. I don't want to stop playing them because they're fun, and I don't want to let him win all the time to avoid his big feelings. On questioning it, he says it makes him feel bad to lose. I validate the feelings, but I'm at a loss to where to go to from here. I remember you spoke of a boy a few weeks back who said he was good at everything, even boxing. My son constantly talks about how great he is also. Any advice you can give me, as I'd be so grateful. I want to support him, and I feel I have a few missing pieces to do that. I want you, Dr. Billy, to focus specifically on games, because we're playing a lot of games at the moment. Yeah. And I am...
And I need to go back. You're not like that. I'm like that.
What, which one?
The competitive, like...
Oh, no,
yeah, but you're in a healthy way.
Girls.
Yeah. But you're in a healthy way. I'm unhealthy.
You are mildly competitive.
Yeah, but I am. Like everything really I do it as hard as I can.
You do.
And I recently did a race that wasn't just running, which I'm used to doing very, very successfully because I've run so much for over 20 years. And I did something that had like a strength component, and I finished like in the middle, and I was like, I'm still.
You're expecting.
This was a month ago.
Key to that is just do it again and again and again and again and again.
Yeah. What's the other key? What's the other key about board games? What does this kid need to learn to do?
Oh, hold on.
What do I need to learn to do? I had to get pulled out of team sports as a kid because I don't know. I had to win.
You're getting me here. I should have this answer, but
what are you worried about? What are you worried about with him and the kid that said he's good at boxing and he's good at everything?
They're not
secure in themselves. They've got fragility in their self-esteem.
Self-esteem. Yes, that's the problem. Yes, correct, because they're attaching the success to their self-esteem.
Yeah.
Well, that is their self-esteem.
So they need to learn that it's okay to lose.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't define who they are.
Yeah.
And they need to have opportunities to lose, don't they? You know this, mate. You're perfect at it with the girls.
Yeah.
You need to set
we've
up.
covered this off. Hold on. Yeah. You've just got me a bit here. You go. Just
you
go
need to
through
set up and facilitate opportunities for that child to lose. That's a gentler version of it's you versus your sibling. It's this game we really care about.
How do you do it?
So just one-on-one with them, you and them.
And
do you know what I mean?
And you beat them?
Yeah. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they don't win, but that's okay.
Thing. It's the sibling rivalry,
so
right?
Take the expectation is just really hard. What else do you do? Show them you losing.
Oh, yeah.
I have to worry about this with both my kids because I'm like that. I'm still like that. I want to be the fastest, the quickest. I always want to win. I always want to do that. And the problem is they'll be watching me thinking, oh, that's really important that you win. So I need to actually set up situations where I lose, and that's okay. I still struggle with it. I have the big feeling and all those things, but I can recover from it. And so I'm just frustrated because I really wanted to do well in that and I didn't. But actually that's okay because what I'll do is I'll keep trying. But there are going to be things like that I don't do well at. You role model it before you actually go, you need to be okay with it. It's a really important part about it. That kid is just big feelings. That's classic big feelings. I want to rip the board in half. I want to do that stuff. And you don't go, don't rip the board in half. You go, I can see you really struggling with this. And then outside of those moments, you work on it. Set up opportunities to role model failing at things and it being okay. Give them a chance in gentler, lighter ways to not do things perfectly.
Maybe show them where they fail in other things that they don't get stressed about.
Well, yeah, maybe start with this is where I fail in other things.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I know you don't mean this, but in the moment being like, mate, you suck at other things as well.
No, but I didn't mean in the moment, but I was like,
totally.
Oh. Like if
you failed that other thing yesterday and
go
rip
out
that in
and
half.
shoot some hoops. Oh, you missed that one. You didn't tear up the ring.
Yeah, well, it's okay.
Mate, it's okay.
Yeah.
In this environment, it's okay. Oh, it's not okay in that environment because it's with a little sibling.
Yeah, well, it's just so that's specific. Like the difference between saying it's okay when a kid is really struggling and that not being okay because you're dismissing them is we can role model it being okay to fail at stuff. Just like we've talked about the success as well. Sometimes we over celebrate kids who succeed at things and then they learn to go, I get all this love and affection when I win.
Yeah. Hey, I've got a film for this topic, this particular topic. We could do Talladega Nights.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not first, you're last. Not the attitude, right? So, and he shows that in the film because it doesn't work out well. The whole, if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You do the reverse of it.
I've already picked the next movie. So
better be
I'll give a clue at the end. And if anyone can guess it off the clue I give, I'll send a book.
Oh, nice. Oh, book. We haven't talked. Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Billy, question number 8. Hi, Dr. Nick and Billy. First, let me start by thanking you for your incredible work. You have taught me so much, and I'm only relatively new to PCP. I know your wisdom is helping me to become a better parent, and there is honestly nothing that is more important to me. The topic of big feelings is such an important one for my family. I have 2 beautiful boys, 7 and 4, and the eldest, like me, is an orchid who feels the world so deeply, this often presents in big feelings. This year, we have a very rocky start to the school year. The first few weeks have been filled with school refusal and tears. Things have improved enormously, largely because the class has a new, wonderful teacher who provides lots of support and stability for the kids. On Wednesdays, though, the class has specialist subjects and the class teacher isn't there. I find that on these days, my son really struggles with drop-offs. This morning was particularly tough, as while we were waiting in line for the teacher to collect the kids and bring them in, he started getting quite worried and explained he knew the feelings worry from the start of the year would come back. Okay, he refused to go in. So I went with him a little way, then ushered him in and waved from outside as he stood inside the stairwell crying, looking down at me. It was utterly heartbreaking. Oh my God. I'm concerned that this hasn't... I'm concerned that he was help seeking in explaining this to me, and I let him down by sending him into the classroom alone. It was also complicated by my 4-year-old with me, who is having his own rocky drop-offs recently at kinder, and I don't want him seeing his older brother distressed going to school when he will start at the same school next year. I'm at a loss how to tackle these drop-offs. If confronted with help seeking, what and how do I actually respond? I find labelling the feeling actually escalates it for him. I've considered getting my husband to do these drop-offs as well, as my son doesn't seem to have the big feelings and worry when he's with dad. Equally, I worry that's just avoidance and not really building the skills to tackle bigger challenges in the future. He is such a deep-feeling kid, and I feel a lot of pressure to get this stuff right and help him build resilience so that he can thrive for the future. I'd greatly appreciate any guidance you have. Thank you so much for taking the time to read this very long email. Big hugs. Go.
I know.
I want the
one,
detail. You go.
Yeah, that image of the kid like just crying and looking at her.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I try as hard as I can to get Annalise to do drop-offs for Evie because I struggle with this so much. And that's part of it is Evie succeeds more at drop-offs than Annalise does it because she's
I don't want you to cover off the one with the particular teacher or carer isn't there.
Yeah. Yeah, so if that continues, don't let it continue in 2 ways. So if you hear that he's like that the rest of the day, or after weeks, he's still completely losing it and beside himself and sobbing at the drop-off, then change something.
What could you change?
You could, the extreme is he doesn't go on the days that the kid isn't there. And some kids will need that.
When the teacher isn't there?
Sorry, when the teacher isn't there.
Yep.
And some kids will need that because you need to pull it right back, build their ability to tolerate the separation, different things, new things, teacher not being there, and then get there.
Give me some practical tips on that.
So, and this is
don't go, and then what do you do with that time?
There's always plan B moments. So where I've got to work.
Oh, you got to drop.
I've got to do this,
totally,
and you're just like, I'm really sorry. I can see how hard this is for you. You know, this is the person who you talk to when you're struggling. I know that teacher's not here, but there's this other person you can go to, the wellbeing person at the school. Speak to them about it. Can you be the person? What can you do? And put a narrative and a script around that. When it gets too much, go see Samantha or go see Beck, the only guest we've ever had on the show, the amazing Rebecca Harris. Go see Beck. She's always going to have time for you. She's going to help you, connect you. But there will be a Beck in every school. And if the teacher's not there, this is what we do. You know, I'm only a phone call away. I'm going to see you at this time. We're going to do this amazing thing together, you and me, that connects in the evening, and I can't wait for that. When you're finding it hard, think about that moment. I'll be thinking about you all day. Now, if they're still really struggling, but also if you can, you bring them back down. And this is hard that mum needs to run off. They got the 4-year-old. But when you can, sometimes just go, hey, you're not ready yet, and we're just going to sit here. And I'm going to sit with you and acknowledge and validate the feeling you're having, that you're really scared because I'm leaving you.
Oh, you're not ready.
You're finding it hard. You're not ready to go in
yet.
And let's see if we can get you ready. Let's see if we can do this together so that you walk in there and you succeed. And it is true courage. We've done this. You're walking towards something you're afraid of. But let's see if we can be courageous together, because I'm finding it hard to walk away from you too. And that's me, mate. That's me walking away from Evie. I find it hard. I think if I fail, I find it hard leading into it. You know, if we go right back to the part 1 of this, which was about 6 hours ago now, of content, I'm setting up the situation because I'm appraising it. I'm thinking I'm going to really struggle to separate. She's going to really struggle to separate from me. But if we can think about giving attention to different things, appraising it in a different way, you know, and then what's the behaviour that I can do? I can try and be calm. I can get down and validate and say, hey, I'm worried about this too. I'm finding it hard too. Let's see if we can do it. And it's also, if we can't, that's okay as well. You know, we play the long game with these kids. And that's, I mean, all of them, as I've said before, I still meet kids in clinic that haven't gone back to school since the pandemic. And if they need to be back there, not every kid needs to be in formal schooling, but if they need to be back there, we find the path to go back successfully as gently as we need to, with as much support as required. And parents should not do that alone. And teachers work very hard so that they don't feel alone in doing that. Anyway.
Ripper.
Yeah,
That's
what a great
great.
parent.
Yep. Okay.
9, I think.
Yes. I've just obviously lost the.
Okay. Doing an amazing job considering you. I gave this to you very late and added one in while you went to get a drink.
Heineken Billy, first up, thanks for all you do for the PCB podcast. As a father of a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old boy, 2-year-old and 4-year-old boys, I've struggled to make time to write this email. I don't know how you manage to generate the material you do. It has been an extremely useful resource for me in my parenting. Billy, I was grateful for the deviation you made into discussing the difference between how we raise boys and girls. While I agree with what you said about anger, violence, and the need to encourage skills like conflict resolution, I believe that, in the context of big feelings, something perhaps more important was missed. I believe that it is vital we bring more awareness to how narrow the range of emotions is that we traditionally allow boys and men to express. Even amongst well-meaning parents that believe in gender equity, I still often observe clear biases how warmly girls are treated when experiencing negative emotions as compared to boys. This is something that is very personal to me and has shaped the course of my life. On the whole, I give my parents a pretty good rating. It was always clear they loved me. We were always close, and they always supported me when it came to the practical things. However, I can remember so many times when I was told toughen up and stop being so sensitive whenever I expressed any sign of tricky emotions like being sad or lonely. This was not the way my younger sister was treated. Then, when I was 19, my father died unexpectedly of a brain tumour. In a few weeks before his death, he even went as far as to blame his mental weakness. For the brain tumour, referring to a time earlier that year where he had emotional breakdown and let something into his head. I came to believe that a strong man never showed his vulnerability. Happiness and anger were the only emotions allowed. Over the next few years, I muddled my way through, but then a bad rugby injury and a relationship breakdown led me to become clinically depressed. If I'm honest, at the time, I was a pretty difficult person to be around, abrasive and quick to anger. I could barely function at work. Somehow, after more than a year of persistent low mood, I found my way into the office of an incredible psychologist. She challenged me and gave me the vocabulary to describe my feelings for the first time. Through meditation, I learned to recognize my feelings. After a month of letting painful tears flow, I can clearly remember opening a letter with some good news and feeling a moment of joy for the first time in years. Well, you can't always get what you want. However, when my 4-year-old son was born, I felt as though it was the rebirth of my relationship with my own father, except now I was the mentor. When he and his younger brother have big feelings, I try to support, relate and give them names to emotions. I use many of the strategies I've learnt from this show, but perhaps more importantly, when I cry, I try best to let them see me. I still struggle with anger, which I find is almost always triggered by feelings of shame. A classic example is when I feel my children are embarrassing me in the supermarket. When this anger does get directed at my boys, I later apologise and try to explain what was going on for me. I can already say that my 4-year-old son has an emotional awareness that is more developed than me as a 20-year-old. However, I wanted to share this because I'm already finding that other people in my life are putting pressure on him to toughen up. The worst is my mum, who gives us a lot of support with childcare, but is too quick to judge his emotions. Certainly, all these things can apply to girls too, but I think we need to be more aware of making space for the feelings of boys, especially as they get older. I can almost guarantee that the bloke that cut you off on the motorway the other day has near zero capacity to reflect on his emotions. Are there strategies you can recommend to help kids, and especially our boys, find the strength in their vulnerability? Thanks again. I want to reiterate again how helpful I find the practical advice you give in PCP. Parenting sure is its own emotional roller coaster. If you got this far, thanks for reading. I appreciate you get a lot of email.
Amazing. I loved that one. And and I loved that it challenged me. And a while ago, there's something coming off that's different to our podcast that will touch on this, that I spoke to some people who people will know and said, I think we need to have a conversation about this, because I 100% agree. We're going to do this on our podcast. We'll just give that some space. But what a beautiful articulation of how hard it is to grow up as a boy when you're told that being tough is showing no emotions.
Yeah.
And lots of us grew up like this, especially those of us that are sensitive found it really hard, and you put on this false bravado.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't hurt me. I'm not upset by that because I need to be tough. And there are so many different ways to be strong. And for some reason in society, we have decided that, you know, for a man to be strong is to be big and physical and tall and have big muscles, but also no emotions, not react to them, not have big feelings. And what an awful thing to do to so many of us that might not be tall or physically strong, but have other ways to be strong. You know, we've got to think about kids should see role models that are different to just the athletic, cold, hard, you know, person who is just imposing and intimidating. And like I said, with boys, we falsely think they're being assertive when they're being aggressive, and that's wrong. The true values, including like in a partner, is, you know, I want someone who's kind and compassionate. They're confident and they can, you know, help me and look after me in all potential relationships. But they're sensitive and kind and generous. Those are the real values.
Yep.
As opposed to they're really good at sports or they're really strong. But that's the pinnacle we put up, isn't it, on the pedestal for boys that are growing up.
Yeah.
Look at them, they're so athletic and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could probably name 200 people that are professional athletes that you go, they're amazing.
Yeah.
And it's not,
easily.
It's being unfair to you right now.
No, it's fair.
But how many people can you name that have contributed to the world in a different way, by being compassionate, by being selfless?
Yeah, I can name a few. I always think back to Heath Ledger, and you were like, he was not a vector. What was he called?
A social referent.
A social referent.
Yeah.
And it makes me think more about the social reference in my life.
Yeah.
That episode was 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah, and school success.
School success. It was good. Sorry, I'm obviously diverging, but I really liked the idea of, that's the important, not the important kid, but the social reference, really important for modelling for the other kids. He wasn't great at... Yeah, this was Heath Ledger in real life, not Heath Ledger, the kid who was a little bit antisocial in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you know you're one of them? You're a social referent? You are.
Oh, I am?
Yeah.
No.
You are, mate. You influence my behaviour. The boys that mate, people talk about you as like the dad of the group.
No, not the mate.
I know that doesn't feel comfortable hearing it, but yeah, we look to you. We look to the way you parent. We look to the way you do stuff. So I'm sorry if that makes you feel uncomfortable, but yeah, mate, it's true, because you are a healthy form of masculinity. You have feelings. You can wear your sister-in-law's cardigans, which we haven't seen for a while.
A bit backhanded now, this compliment.
No, but mate, it's one of the 1,000 beautiful things about you. You can wear a woman's straw hat to the coffee shop and walk down there with me, just because that you saw it there and you put it on.
Yeah,
and that's, you accept people for who they are. Like,
yes.
Anyway, that's what it is. But we'll do it in the future, and I won't put as much pressure on you. So,
okay, we're going to question.
Last one.
Yep. Sorry, I just lose them because I scroll.
But yeah, great question to send in. And once the other stuff comes out, we might focus a little bit more on raising boys.
Yes, that would be good. Hi, Nick and Billy. I'm a father of a beautiful, creative, smart and kind 7-year-old daughter, and I feel like I'm failing her. Since the age of 3, when in my care, she becomes dysregulated very easily, leading to intense anger and both verbally and physical aggression. In the past 12 months, this has gotten progressively worse, to the point that 2 weekends ago she was so angry that she picked up a coffee table and hit me with it, causing one of the legs to snap off. When this happened, I scooped her up and took her to the bedroom. As that is my current strategy. While walking to my bedroom, I kept my voice calm and gentle. I tell her that she isn't a bad kid, she's just having a hard time, that I love her very much and it's my time to keep her safe. I don't know if she hears me because she's focused on grabbing doorways and walls to try and stop me carrying her, as well as kicking, hitting, scratching and screaming at me to put her down. When we get into her bedroom, I put her down as gently as I can manage. By now, she is so deeply dysregulated that she screams about how much she hates me and starts hitting and kicking. She's very strong for a 7-year-old. I see her swing her arms and legs back really far so that she can hit as hard as possible. She hits so hard, after about 1 minute, her hands and legs will be sore. So she moves on to throwing things at me, remotes, phones, shoes, literally anything within reach. She specifically targets my head and has a good aim. Eventually, I have to leave the room, either because I recognise that she needs to be alone or my partner comes to give her a break. Usually she can hear me crying. Eventually, my daughter will calm down enough that she is able to begin regulating. She will seek me out and try desperately to reconnect with me, usually by climbing all over me like she wants to have maximum physical contact with me. Meanwhile, I'm deeply distressed, but push these feelings aside so that I can help her repair our connection. I'm in a second-time family and my daughter spends 5 nights per fortnight with me, while her stepdaughter is with me full-time. I now feel anxiety and stress building in the days leading up to her staying with me, because even when there isn't physical violence, at least once per day, she'll say the most hurtful things to me. She doesn't just tell me that she hates me, but how much she hates me. No, she doesn't really mean these things, and I have a lot of compassion for her, but it is so deeply upsetting to have your sweetest little girl tell you, I hate you to the end of the universe and back. I hate you more than anything else in the world. I also worry that this is subjecting my stepdaughter to the same kind of trauma I experienced as a child. I've tried so many different things to help my daughter. We have a very sensory safe house with mellow mats, sensory swings, large soft bean bags, noise cancelling earbuds, fidget toys, chew toys, you name it. I've completed the Triple P Parenting Circle of Security workshop on workshops on big feeling kids. I've completed the Triple P Parenting Circle of Security workshops on big feeling kids, even courses from the Gottman Institute. I've read countless books like Explosive Child, Your Own Wonderful Book, and Low Demand Parenting. I've educated myself on connection attachment styles, as well as things like pathological demand avoidance, sensory processing disorder, adverse childhood experience and trauma. I work so hard to model how to repair and validate anytime I rouse on the kids for something, which isn't often. Nothing seems to work, or if it does work, isn't making things better, just slowing down the pace that things get worse. As you can imagine, this is emotionally and psychologically exhausting. I have a co-parent who is an absolute wonderful mother, but doesn't seem to understand how bad things are because she doesn't experience this during her time with our daughter. I have been spending years advocating for our daughter to get clinical help, but it wasn't until she hit 3 children in 2 days at kindergarten last year that we were able to have a wonderful mental health OT start with our daughter. She had fortnightly sessions for 8 months in 2023. That has stopped now as my daughter's co-parent and I see a child psychologist fortnightly instead, unpacking these events and trying to help me with strategies to support our daughter. In the past month, I've finally managed to get agreement to start an intervention. We're trying neurofeedback and I hope it works, but I just don't know how long I can keep doing this. I love my daughter so much and want only the best for her, but can't help feeling that she would be better off without me. How can it be healthy for her to spend time with me if she doesn't, if she is feeling so under threat that verbal and physical aggression are her only options? Deep down I worry that one day she will say something awful to me and I will say something awful back. that she will really hurt me and then have to live with the memory of putting her dad in hospital. I feel like I'm drowning.
Yeah. How does it make you feel reading it?
I can't imagine it. It's amazing reading. There was all the questions about this one and the one earlier from it was the Irish lady, just getting this level of detail of how these days are for these people. And just that one thing I could sort of semi-connect with was like feeling that anxiety of the days leading up to catching up with the daughter.
Yeah,
about
how
tough
awful.
it might be.
And loving
and
his
that
kids
is-
so much and feeling like
Feeling anxious.
just
and
being with them,
bleeding.
I'm harming them.
And then that takeaway at the end of like, she's just better off without me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, his dad's done more than most to try and get good at this. Gone and done all the training,
Courses,
the courses and everything.
The psych, the OTs.
He's in a situation that hopefully, you know, you and I don't experience, but I'm almost certain I wouldn't handle it as well as he is. So I suspect that, you know, obviously I haven't met this kid in clinic, but I meet these kids in clinic. And I suspect that she's so worried about losing him that she's trying to make it happen first.
Having control over it.
Yeah. Because there's been a change and they're doing all this stuff about the environment. They're doing all this stuff about therapy. They're doing all this stuff about psychoeducation for themselves as parents. They're partnering with the co-parents. They're doing all this stuff. But it will be the relationship that, you know, needs a lot of work, and not because this dad doesn't really love this girl. It's because that she's just not feeling secure in that. When kids are that dysregulated and saying the hurtful stuff to us, we need to show them that we can handle it. We can handle it. It doesn't change how we feel about them. It hurts us. But we can see, and we give them the language, I think you're really angry at me. I can see how distressed you are. I think that when kids are struggling like that, sometimes we need to go to them, but like if she's showing that she's struggling so much that she escalates more, then that's the sensitivity and the responsiveness to just give her a bit of physical space, but stay with her and think about how can I make there a gentler pathway to the point where she gets back, comes back online and climbs all over him and wants to repair it, knowing that it's coming. With time and everything they're doing and focusing on the relationship and her learning that he's not going to leave or there's not going to be some awful consequence because she says how much she hates him and stuff like that, she will find the calm again and the certainty and security in the relationship to feel like it's always going to be there. And that will happen. A dad like this will always be a positive part of a kid's life. And, you know, I hope they're getting the support and how awful that must be to feel. But hopefully they journey with the podcast just like a lot of people are, which is the best thing about the podcast. And hopefully we can hear when things get better and all the efforts they're making paying off. But what a phenomenal parent. And that's why I wanted to end on that question.
Ripping question.
So yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Maybe just change a little bit around how you respond. And if, you know, maybe not picking them up and carrying them off, but just thinking and staying with them in the space and all those things and showing them they're safe, showing them that you can handle it. That's what kids need to know, that when they're really distressed, and especially if there's been a fracturing, they'll test it and say, I wonder if I can push this person away. We all do that. I'll do that. Do you know what I mean? I'm insecure about this, so I'll push them away. And that's what she's trying to do. So stay in there, do whatever it takes to stay in there like you are, and you'll be able to, because they're amazing.
Awesome. Get it finished
punchy feedback.
Yeah, with some tips.
Yeah, so let's do tips and then a final reflection.
Okay, cool. Tit for tat?
Yeah, let's go tip for tat.
I'll do one.
Yeah.
Cool. Hi, Dr. Nick and Billy. I'm a school social worker and I'm constantly referring to families and staff to your podcast. Thanks for your work. Just listen to the Matrix podcast. I am regularly called in or receive referrals for kids who are experiencing big emotions. These kids often have complex trauma and or attachment issues. The first thing I normally do is give them food. Normally it's just hot Milo and toast. I also have a stash of fruit and chips. I spend the time, connect with them and talk to them while we make it together. I'll often make myself some as well, even if I'm not hungry. This actively allows a student's nervous system to calm. The comfort of food and company as well as an activity is sneaky co-regulation technique. demonstrating that I'm a safe adult who cares about their physical well-being. I don't try to touch or explore the emotional stuff until they're physically safe. Also use games in sessions, card games like Spot It or problem-solving games like Traffic Jam. Giving kids a chance to connect and laugh together allows me to be able to engage effectively during moments of crisis where they need support or de-escalation or to de-escalate. Beautiful thing is, once I have the trusting relationship with the kid, I can support them to build a relationship with the teacher. Once the child knows the teacher isn't against them and the teacher understands where these big feelings, emotions, behaviour is coming from, the teacher is able to better support the student in co-regulation. Have a great day.
Amazing.
Bit of milk and Milo.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So what are they doing? It's Maslow, isn't it? That's Maslow.
Yeah, just covering off the... Oh, mate, snacks.
Yeah,
I want to arrive with food. Go.
Base of Maslow. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for the podcast. As a mum, it greatly boosts my confidence in parenting, especially in handling these big feeling situations with my 2-year-old. I particularly enjoyed the episode on big feelings. I resonated with Nick's point about how these strategies apply to adults too. After my first bub, I often struggle with anger and frustration over everyday issues. One of the most valuable things I did was become curious about my anger instead of feeling ashamed of it. For me, it's now how I teach my daughter, acknowledging what's beneath the anger, like sadness or other vulnerable emotions, can diminish its power. I also practice separating my emotions by visualizing them in different parts of the room. I say, here I am in the room, sadness is over there, and anger is hanging out over there, imagining them outside of me. I learned this technique from the Imperfects podcast. I've realised the importance of having a toolkit of practical methods to handle anger and frustration in the moment, as you can't always leave and do what you used to do, like going for a run, my go-to before kids. Now when I look at my daughter, she can see her mum expressing, regulating and managing frustration and anger in a compassionate, effective way. I'm proud to teach her these skills, hoping she won't struggle as much as I did. I appreciate Nick's reminder that it's never too late to teach your kids to manage these management techniques. I wholeheartedly agree, as I acquired these skills at the young, age of 40. Just wanted to share my thoughts. Thank you again for the podcast. My friends and I love it and are very grateful for this resource. All right.
Shout out to those that still think they're young at 40.
Yes,
Me and Billy. I think we are. It's not 40 is not as old as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I wonder what 50 is going to be like. I'm nearly halfway.
Yeah.
I look like I'm 3/4 of the way.
No, mate. You got the wisdom but not the appearance.
All right, cool. Hi, heroes. Quick one because you asked for tips around big feelings. First tip. When I can feel myself boiling, that point when I know I don't do something, if I don't do something, I will yell out and snap at my kids and say something I'll regret. I move. Do anything. 10 squats, 10 calf raises, a stretch, anything to bring myself back to my body. In my world, I call this response substitution. I'm sure you have a better, more evidence-based explanation. I try to catch my son in his wind-up too. Mountain fingers, 15 push-ups, 10 star jumps, anything for the body break before threshold is reached. Second tip. I was told by someone along the way that if you feel frustrated at your kids and their big emotions in those hard meltdown moments, look at their hands. They are small, soft, and represent their innocence. A reminder that they are little people doing the best they can to learn skills to manage their big feelings. And it's our job to help. Love your work. Thank you. Always. Just love that. I love the flag as well. Oh, shit. Dad's doing, I'm not sure if he's doing it. Dad's doing 10 squats.
Yeah. It's like the earbuds or the loop.
The loop earbuds. Yeah, just like, oh, yeah, mum's signalling. I love the signalling. It's good.
Beautiful. No, they're amazing. So thank you for them. Now, last one.
Okay.
Last reflection.
Closing reflection. G'day, legends. A quick note to you both to thank you for this community, resources and wisdom from your combined lived experience. I can honestly say your podcast has done more for my parenting style than any other book session or group combined. Your podcast is shared to other parents as soon as your podcast is shared to other parents as soon as a concern, challenge, or opportunity is raised. I've got a link on speed dial. Stumbled across PCP whilst listening to Hamish Blake's How Other Dads Dad podcast. After hearing Billy, I knew I needed more of his knowledge in my life. A few months ago, between jobs, I binged the last 2 years of PCP podcasts. It takes a village It takes a village rings true here, as I often take great advice, lessons, etc. from other listeners. Road Rager was gold, as well as Nick, who can bring a huge subject lesson to a real-world outlook. I've been blown away in a few circumstances where examples from the pod have helped me with my kids or other kids in the community. When a 5-year-old refused to leave the car because he was terrified of our dog, I calmly sat in the car with him, validated his emotions before hearing in my head, "What are you good at? What do you like to do?" 2 minutes later, this guy was climbing trees whilst the dog remained inside. I thought my 6-year-old daughter would never ride the bike sans training wheels. Then hearing about lowering expectation, opportunities to succeed and scaffolding, had her riding in 2 weeks. The lower back required 2 weeks of physio, but it was worth it. Oh, yes. Talking to my dad about our kids whilst chopping wood. Can you get any more father-son bonding experience? and dropping some PCP wisdom on him on how to deal with his grandkids was a golden moment I will cherish. Scaffolding, replacing negative behaviour with positive behaviour. Our words and actions will become our children. I felt I was bridging generations in a 15-minute session. Oh my God. This week's Matrix Big Emotions could not have come at a better time. Even the background birds made it real.
I forget about that, and it's just I'm so used to hearing it. But when I'm on another podcast, you can hear the beautiful birds.
Yeah. Our beautiful matriarch had surgery for breast cancer over the weekend. Over the last few weeks, there have been some strong emotions which have worked through, yet having the steps laid out have helped me regulate in the first instance, then level the kids out before moving through the steps. My 4-year-old son is one of the biggest emotional challenge. Since the health news dropped, his demands have ramped up. He's quick to anger, frustration. I've been now leading big into big emotions, working through the steps and checking in on myself while acknowledging, validating his feelings. I might not always resolve the concern in that moment. However, I make the point to address it within 24 hours with him. It's the same with my daughter and her big emotions when they come. You know you're onto a winner when your kid says it's okay to be angry. It's not okay to hit. Final point, you've made it this far. Final point, if you've made it this far. We have a 3-step process when you're in an uncomfortable situation, big emotions from siblings, rough play, in playground, bullying, etc. Use your head. I ask them to think about why it's happening. Is the other person unaware? What was it an accident, or why are they trying to hurt you? Use your mouth. If negative behaviour or emotion continues, tell them, stop it, I don't like it. And if it continues, you ask someone for help. Use your limbs, hands, arms for self-defense if needed. Maybe requires jiu-jitsu training, or legs to walk away. Thanks again for all you do, legends. And if you ever decide to take the Guiding Growing Minds and Pop Culture Parenting podcast on the road, know there is a demand for live sessions engagement here on the west coast of Australia. Whoa. Maybe we go to Margaret River and find some of those wineries there.
Yeah.
That's a ripper. Well done.
So, yeah, amazing. And, yeah, we'll see how the first live show goes. But I just thought we'd love end on that beautiful one.
Dad's going on the road.
That was long. Sorry. As a classic, we're about to wrap up. Now, next movie clue. And if you get this, if you're the first person to send in and get the movie, we'll send a book.
So I can't give the answer.
No, you can't give the answer. Okay, but yeah, you're gonna. I think it'll be on streaming platforms. What streaming platforms are there?
Netflix.
What else?
Stan.
Yeah.
What else? Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Prime.
Yeah.
Why am I running these off?
What other ones have you got?
I don't know.
What's one with a big telecommunication company?
Telstra TV.
Yeah.
Or Binge or Fetch.
Yeah.
We're doing Fletch.
No.
Sorry. What else?
Clue's there. You've given it. And okay. We'll see. See if whoever sends in gets the movie. I'll send a book.
Okay. There you go. So one of the big one of the
we'll just leave it.
All right, okay. I'll leave it. Billy, thank you very much. A lot of effort's obviously gone into that. You're burning the candle at both ends, but
Just for a change.
Yeah.
And thank you to all the people sending in, like, hope you're okay and all that stuff. But I'm just trying to get it self-sustaining. I've already dropped a day of work to do this, but probably can't financially drop another one. But we're going to get it self-sustaining and humming thanks to Como, his input, the amazing board, everyone like that. So thank you, everyone.
Great stuff, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll speak to you soon.